So you've been told that the price of success is often burnout, and burnout that comes with trying to achieve that. You know, you work harder, you grind longer, you sacrifice more, and then when you do all that, you'll feel like fulfilled as a part of that. And if that's the case, like, why do so many people who consider themselves like they're high achievers, they're getting so much done, they feel so exhausted and disconnected and empty, even though they're like on the outside, like if you looked at them on paper or checklists or whatever, like they're winning on paper, right? Well, because the truth is that exhaustion isn't proof of your dedication, it's actually proof of misalignment. And in today's video, I'm going to show you 5 strategies that are going to help you to stop confusing exhaustion that you're feeling with feeling like you've made progress, and how you actually start chasing big goals in a way that actually fuel you instead of draining you completely. I mean, so if you're a parent, an entrepreneur, an employee who's tired of like running yourself into the ground, like then stick with me through this video, because this might be the shift that you've been waiting for. Now, if you are new here, let me say welcome to the Giver Method channel. If you're coming back to watch another video, welcome back. My name is Jake, and I'm so glad that you're able to join me today. Now, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions that might help ground this for you and make it feel a little bit more real. Have you ever felt that physical, emotional, or mental drain from like you're chasing goals that look impressive on paper, but maybe they leave you feeling empty inside? Or maybe you're stuck in that cycle where you work harder but like you feel less energized, and the more you work, you feel less fulfilled, you know, each time along the way. Or maybe you've caught yourself like confusing exhaustion with progress, believing that you're not grinding yourself into the ground, you're just not doing enough, you're just trying to get, you know, where you need to go, but you're not quite there yet. If any of that sounds familiar, then hear me on this. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not a laziness. It's not a weakness. And you're not alone in this feeling. You're caught up in what is often referred to as achievement addiction, is what it's been referred to as. And so I like to call it like it's a sneaky like trap, where we confuse the depletion that you feel for like dedication, but we end up chasing goals that feed our ego and starve our soul, and we end up exhausted and not happy with where we are. We end up in roles and positions and things that we look back at ourselves and we're like, that's not who I want to be. That's not who I feel like I am anymore. And once again, this isn't about like being impatient. It's not about being entitled in any way. It's actually waking up to this truth. Like when your goals drain your energy instead of fuel you, when success feels hollow instead of meaningful, the problem isn't you. The problem is the way the goal was designed. And so I want to dive deep into that with you, unpack it. Now, I did mention my name is Jake, so let me really formally introduce myself. I'm Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book. It's called The GIVER Method. It came out last November. Right now, if you use the link in the description, you can get it for as little as $1.99, like $2. That's the best $2 you can invest yourself. When it came out last November, it automatically became an Amazon bestseller. There's tons of 5-star reviews. People absolutely love it. And the reason that they love it is because it is grounded in the world that you're living as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as a person working with. I've been all of those. I have 3 kids. I'm an entrepreneur. I've worked in that corporate sea of cubicles. And so everything I did in here, the stories, the exercises, and action items, they're all grounded in the fact that I understand that you can't just burn everything down, go move to the woods to find yourself. So go get yourself a copy. I've made it to where you can get it for as low as $2 because like I want to get it in as many hands of people as humanly possible. I don't make any money on that. Like quite literally, I want to see the impact that comes when people take the principles that are in here and they start living in alignment with who they are. They stop feeling that burnout. They discover their gifts and superpowers, create more impact and value, and gosh, live just more fulfilled lives. So once again, you can either pause the video, go to Amazon, and look up The GIVER Method by Jake Talbert, or you can use the link down in the description to get yourself a copy. Maybe buy a copy for someone else that needs it. I don't know. Now, like I said, part of it is the fact that the book is grounded in my story, and I'll never forget, like, there was a moment where this burnout concept, like, you know, of feeling like I was, you know, grinding away to achieve so much more, but just feeling depleted, like when it hit me, like it hit me like a ton of bricks. You know, I was grinding away, doing tons of hours at work. I was convinced like that the exhaustion was proving like that I was doing it right, you know, and I was doing the right things to get to where I wanted to be. And my son actually, at one point, you know, we were sitting there and he's just like, Dad, you just seem so tired and cranky when you get home. And like, it hit me like a ton of bricks because like, what I was modeling for him was a life where achievement meant sacrificing joy and health and presence. And that's not the legacy that I wanted to leave. That's not how I want him to be raised. And like that night I started asking different questions, like not how can I work harder, but how can I work in alignment with who I really am and what truly matters to me. And what I found, and what's great, you know, with the book and when I do these videos, do tons of research on it so that I can help speed up some of that stuff for you. You know, the data that's out there shows that, the most meaningful, long-lasting achievements don't come from grinding away and hustling through this misalignment. They come from anchoring your big goals with your gifts, your superpowers, your values, so that progress creates energy instead of depleting it. And the shift that changes everything for you, real achievement isn't about exhaustion, it's about that alignment. Sustainable success happens when you work within your design, not against it. And when you stop chasing what impresses others, you start building around what actually energizes you. My gosh, your progress just becomes this renewable energy instead of something that drains you. So I want to walk you through these 5 strategies. I'm telling you, it has helped parents, entrepreneurs, and employees like you break free from that achievement addiction and start creating success that feels aligned and energized and super sustainable. Once again, not productivity hacks or some sort of woo-woo ideas. These are actual frameworks that you can use to put into place right away. And listen, this isn't about lowering your standards or playing small in any ways. It's about that sustainable success often produces better results than that burnout and just grinding away ever will. Because if you lean into your authentic gifts, your superpowers, your values, you create that impact without losing yourself in the process. You build so much more energy and fulfillment in life. Everything we're talking about today, like I said, is grounded in the GIVER method framework. Because when you align your ambition with your authentic self and you build systems that mix achievement and restoration, you're going to realize your greatest accomplishments don't come from grinding through depletion. They come from finding that sweet spot where your natural gifts and your meaningful goals meet together. So if you want to dive deeper, once again, pause the video, get the link down below, go get it on Amazon for as little as $2, or open up the Amazon app, go get yourself a copy. It's tons of tools to help you break free from this feeling. Now, for those of you ready for more personal support, you feel like you've been stuck in that cycle for way too long and you want someone who's walked that same path as you to help you redesign where you're going, well, we've got some of our one-on-one coaching positions open. You can check out the link below about the coaching stuff and learn more about that. And if you have a team or a podcast or an event or a community where you feel like this message would resonate with them, then please check out the link about speaking and podcasting. Love to bring it to your people in a very real way that they could implement quickly. Let's see. And of course, hit subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, of course, so you get the notifications when we drop new videos. Like this video, comment what lands for you. All right, no more wasting time. We're just going to start diving into how you turn that burnout into breakthroughs for you little bit by little bit over time. And so the first strategy that I want you to think about, it's all about how to tell if your goals are fueling you instead of feeding your ego. And so I call this strategy it's the achievement reset. Because if we're real for a second, most of us, we've been chasing those goals that look really shiny on paper, but, honestly can feel empty once we hit them. It looks good on paper. You check the boxes. It's the things that, the Instagram reel perfect look, but we don't feel right when we get there. And that's because nobody ever taught us to stop and ask, why are we even chasing that thing in the first place? Is it really fueling us, or are we just feeding our own ego? And that's where this reset comes in. If you think of this as your personal audit, hey, I'm going to hold my goals up to the light and I'm going to see which ones actually energize me and which ones are draining me. And so here's a couple of steps, things that you can do to really start to put this into practice. Number one is you do it's referred to as the applause test, okay? Where you're going to grab your, maybe your top 5 goals, career, health, relationship, finance, personal. And if you're we don't really have goals, no, you do. If you just think about them, give them a little bit of time, you'll find them, whatever's on your plate. And then ask yourself, if nobody clapped, if nobody noticed, if nobody cared I achieved this, would I still want it? And be brutally honest, because if your answer is yeah, probably not, maybe you've convinced yourself that you should, that you should be achieving that. That's kind of a red flag. Maybe it's ego-driven, and ego-driven goals become exhausting. Next, you do a value check, Does it line up with your actual values, the stuff that matters to you when nobody's watching? So write down what are your top core values, Not the things that you think they should be, the real ones. Ask yourself, does chasing this goal honor my values or work against them, And here's the wake-up call most people have, at this sort of a step. 60 to 70% of what they're just grinding towards isn't even theirs. It's borrowed, it's learned, it's from this comparison culture, and or somebody else's definition of success. No wonder that feels so heavy on you. And then the third thing is an energy, impact, how it impacts you, give each goal a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Does pursuing this goal, if I'm doing steps to work towards it, does it energize me or does it drain me? Because purpose-driven goals, they might stretch you, but they won't leave you feeling hollow. And then you think about a big picture. There's this legacy filter that you want to look at. If you zoom out and ask yourself, what will my kids or my spouse or my people who actually remember me, as I think about them, does this specific goal I achieve, they gonna want to talk about this, the person I became, or are they gonna be like, oh man, I really wish you would have just given up on that thing and really focused on these things that mattered the most to us? Because the truth is, your family's not going to remember the promotion or quarterly metric number. Like, they're going to remember if you were present and joyful and authentic in the process. That's the stuff that leaves legacy, because most people, like, they never do stop long enough to ask these questions. You're sprinting on autopilot, chasing these borrowed goals from Instagram, wondering why success feels so flat. But when you do an audit, when you separate ego-driven from purpose-driven, you start to see clearly, my goodness, you can drop what's actually draining you and without losing anything that actually matters to you. And so before you go build big dreams all together, start here, do this reset. But once you know which goals are real, which ones just are noise, everything else gets a whole lot lighter as a part of that. Now that takes us into the second area, or second strategy that I want to talk about, which is how do you anchor big ambitions with your real values and gifts? And we're going to talk a lot about these. These can be some repeat themes, but it's let's redesign goals that actually fit you. The size of your goals isn't the problem at all. You don't need to dream smaller. You can dream big. You just need to make sure that the dream fits you, who you are. Most of us set goals that sound great, but feel like we're dragging this boulder, another boulder uphill even. Right? Every single day we're trying to get that thing up that hill. Not because we're not capable, but because the goal isn't anchored with what matters to us. So your values, your gifts, your authentic design, my goodness, let's flip that. Let's talk about how to redesign the goals that energize you instead of draining you. So the first one is that gift integration. All right? Take one of your biggest goals, say, how can I achieve this by leaning into my strengths instead of grinding against them? We're going to cover this really deep in another couple of principles. Think about, how do I redesign the path so I become a better leader, parent, whatever it is, based off of these things. And you'll, if I hit these milestones along the way, that's great. I may not achieve the final thing right away, but I'm using my gifts as a part of that. It's going to build you up. Now, the second thing is you want to flip any limiting statements. We've all said stuff I don't have time for that personal project, or, I can't do fulfilling work right now because I need the paycheck. Instead, start asking yourself well, how do I integrate what matters most to me into what I'm already doing? And that shift can change everything for you. You're no longer waiting for perfect conditions. You're finding achievement right where you are. I did a whole video last week about this, sitting in the waiting room, waiting for that right moment, and it's never going to come. Now, the third thing here is you build value anchors into every goal. So, value anchors is just simply the commitment to protect what matters most while you chase that success. If family connection is your core value, then your business goal comes with non-negotiable family time blocked off. If creativity is what lights you up, that next promotion plan, the thing that you want to do, includes projects where you can innovate. These are anchors that keep you grounded so you don't lose yourself when you start winning and lose track of some of this stuff. Now, the next one is you create energy generating milestones. So most goals, we measure results like the revenue or the title or pounds lost or whatever. But the better question is how do I want this journey to feel? Energy generating milestones is where you track things hey, am I growing my confidence here? Am I building deeper relationships? Am I showing up as my real self more? When you hit those milestones, my goodness, energy and alignment, it just pushes right along with that. The process itself becomes so much more motivating. And then you just redefine the success on your own terms. Write out what success looks like if you fully honored your values, you lean into your gifts, and you create the impact that you actually want. That'll become your North Star. It doesn't shrink ambition, it actually sharpens it so much more. Because when your goals line up with who you actually are, and you don't working towards them will start to feel lighter. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're working towards design that creates just natural momentum. So you don't lower the bar, you don't shrink your dream, you just redesign it so it fits you, and who you actually are. Because when your goals honor your values, that flow, that you get into because you're using your gifts. Goodness, success stops being about grinding and it becomes fuel that just pushes you forward every single step. And then our third one, create a success rhythm. Okay, so this is how do you build systems that fuel you instead of drain you? So this is about we don't want the burnout marathon. Because if we say we get deep into that, success isn't about pushing harder every single day until you collapse. That's the burnout blueprint. And so we're looking for sustainable success rhythms, one where, ambition and restoration actually work together. And so your body, how do we combine our mind, our body, our mind, our relationships? So they're not just machines that we run on full throttle. They need fuel, they need recovery, they need joy built into the right system. And when you ignore that, achievement becomes heavier and heavier. It takes longer to get there. But when you design the goal around, both action and renewal, that's when something, you get this renewable like achievement cycles. And so here's what I want you to focus on, or what I want you to do. Like, there's this energy smart scheduling. Stop trying to keep the same intensity all day long. Nobody works like that. Instead, pay attention to where your natural rhythms are. When do you have the most focus? When do you hit that mid-afternoon wall? Like, do your most important work when your energy is the highest, and then actually schedule recovery breaks, not mindless scrolling breaks, like things that genuinely refuel you. And then of course, like, look for achievement rhythms that, like, not marathons, like the big one. Researchers call it ultradian rhythm or whatever. Like, the simple version is like you work harder in focus bursts, 60 to 90 minutes, 2 hours at max. And then you legit have to take like a 15 to 20 minute reset. You walk, you stretch, you call someone you love, you step outside for some sunlight. Like, don't wait until you're completely fried before giving yourself permission to breathe. Like, when you build rhythms like this, your output and your energy are going to go up. And then look for joy integration points in the day. Like, where's the fun, damn it? Like, let's have some fun. Don't wait until the end of your work day, the end of the work week, or someday to do what you love. Weave those things into your goals. If you love learning, like, make research part of your project. If you thrive on connection, build as much collaboration or mentoring into your strategy. If creativity lights you up, carve out time to design and brainstorm and really get into things. Like, the way that, as you do this, the process itself feeds you instead of draining you. Then you have to celebrate along the way. Gosh, biggest mistake that so many people who are trying to really be high achievers and perform make is that they don't celebrate until the final finish line. And let's be real, some goals take months or years to achieve, and that means you're grinding forever without any sort of positive reinforcement. So flip that. Every week you need to pause and acknowledge, like, what's moved forward? What were my 3 wins? What was my 1 lesson? What's one small improvement I'm looking for next week? In the GIVER method in chapter 3, there's a whole thing on journaling. There's some journaling prompts and templates you can go get online, like some great ways to approach that. And of course, in the 5th thing here would be energy deposits that, like, are non-negotiables. Like, it's about you build real recovery into your week, not Netflix binging that leave you groggy, like, but things that actually restore you. If you think like, well, nature, exercise, creative outlets, meaningful conversations, prayer, journaling, family rituals, whatever, like, these aren't extras. They're fuel. Like, they're fuel that you need. So treat them like non-negotiables, like appointments that you have to keep with yourself. And then there's also like constraint-based creativity. Now, you may be thinking like, Jake, I don't have all the hours of the day to go do these types of things. Good, you don't need them. Use your limitations as design parameters, not excuses. If you've got 45 minutes a day, perfect. Design a strategy that works inside your box. If it's less time, make it fit into that box. Sometimes constraints actually unlock so much more creativity because it forces you to focus. Now, this works so well because your nervous system isn't built to run nonstop, like with just nonstop output. It's built for rhythm, activation and recovery, action and rest. When you design your goals around that reality, you stop burning out and you start building real momentum. So stop running these marathons of depletion and let's create a system of rhythm that really keeps that fire burning. And that takes us to the 4th one, which is like, how do we build goals around our gifts and our superpowers so that success feels natural? Like, let's win with what we're already great at, not having to go discover something new. Because the truth is, most people burn out not because of just grinding or because of laziness or even but because they built these biggest goals around sometimes their weakness. I'm trying to improve this thing. They're grinding away in areas that don't fit their wiring. They wonder like why every step feels like they're pushing that boulder uphill. But like, gosh, here's the good news. The real game changer is when you flip that around, you start building goals around your gifts. The superpowers, the thing that you only have. You are the only person that has the exact combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences. And you're the only person that can make the impact that you can make. And let's lean into that. Let's excel things forward. Success starts to feel lighter and faster and way more energizing. So how you win with your gifts, like first, like strength and goal alignment. So look at those big goals and ask yourself, how could I use what I'm already naturally good at here? If you're a problem solver, like, well, maybe I'm going to design career growth around being the person that cracks the toughest challenges. If you're a natural teacher, like build the business by educating and empowering others. Like the idea isn't avoiding challenges. It's making sure your path to success is like paved on your own successes, like your strengths that you have. Then like live in your like genius zone. And so the aim is at least like, how do I get 60% of the time like you spend chasing your goals should be in like a sweet spot. Like how do I get into that sweet spot so I can start going forward? Like the areas where you are both skilled and have a genuine passion, that's a genius zone. You know, it doesn't mean that you'll never, you know, do hard work or boring stuff, but like your core effort being built on what you're best at, man, even the tough parts won't feel as heavy. And then like look for the ways you can express your gifts. Like where are those opportunities? Like every big goal should give you chances to use your gifts as a part of that. And so like if your encouragement is your thing, make sure that, you know, part of your growth is, you know, involves inspiring others or motivating others. You know, if system thinking is your edge, then like maybe design projects that let you organize or streamline and optimize, like whatever it is for you. Like that way your progress doesn't just move you forward, it actually lights you up in the process. And then the one that I've loved, I've heard before, is called this effortless excellence indicator. Not words I would use, but that's what they called it. And so that's how you know when you're like in the zone. Like the work feels engaging, not exhausting. Time flies because, you know, you're so absorbed, and people naturally seek you out for this thing because like it's just what you do best at. Like when those signs show up, you're not just working hard, you're operating in way more of an alignment. Now, you can also look for the projects where you can activate your superpowers. Don't, you know, think of just terms of tasks. Like what are the projects that require your unique combination of gifts? You know, those are the kind of initiatives where you walk away feeling more energized than when you started. Like it's opposite of burnout. Like it's called working with your design. And when you stack more of these projects in your life, that momentum builds itself. And then of course, naturally energy leverage. You know, you already know when you're at your best. Use that. You know, if creativity flows like for you in the morning, block it out for that time. You know, make the creativity work with you. If connection fires you up, weave that collaboration in as much as you can. It's not just for scheduling. Like this is you structure your life, you know, with your gifts. Like you're going to amplify so many more things and actually build yourself up more as a person that people want to come to. Because when you stop grinding through like a weakness, you start leaning into your strengths, achievement feels so much more natural. You're not forcing progress, like you're actually flowing with it. Now, that's where the shift is. Like stop asking yourself, how can I fix what I'm bad at? And start thinking like, how can I win with what I'm great at? And that's where the goals stop being such a grind and they start becoming that energy source for you. And our last one, how do you create momentum that feels natural? Like instead of force. So what's that alignment zone? This is all going to align very closely to what we just talked about. Like your goals, your gifts, your values, you know, if they're pulling you the same direction, you stop having to force progress. That's where momentum shows up. That's where things just click in this alignment zone. It's that sweet spot where success feels like heavy lifting isn't there. Like success feels like this energy is on tap. And most people never get there because they're chasing those goals that look good on paper but have no connection to who they are. So, number one, like map out your alignment zone. What are your values, your gifts, your goals? Like we hit on those things, right? You know, where do they overlap? Look for those things. That's an alignment zone. So if you do the other exercises, the other things we talked about, now start to look at how they overlap. That's this alignment zone. You know, that's where you want to spend your time because when those three are lined up, you know, effort like feeds you rather than drains you. You know, you pay attention to what's pulling you in. You make space for really authentic expression as a part of that. And then like you look for those signs of that effortless excellence we talked about where you lose track of time, people are coming to you for it, you work like, you know, feels stimulating, not suffocating. And then what are the multipliers, momentum multipliers? That's where it can get fun, is where you find the activities that let you advance like multiple goals at once through your gifts. You know, if your gift is encouragement, you know, and you want career growth, like, well, how do I, you know, build strong, and I want stronger relationships, like, right, mentor someone at work, like it grows your leadership skills, it deepens your connection at the same time. You know, if your gift is organization and you want to grow, you know, your business while you stay connected with your family, design systems that actually help with that. Like you can hit both goals, you know, in the same move. And definitely learn the difference between a challenge and a misalignment. Challenges are things you can go after, you know. Not all resistance is bad. You know, healthy challenges are great. They're the kind that stretches you and leave you tired but satisfied. That misalignment, though, brings stress. It's different. It feels forced and it contradicts your instincts. You know, if you're constantly in the second category, like it's not because you're weak, it's because you're working against your design. And that's the cue that you need to adjust, not go grind harder. Your willpower, like it runs out, but alignment doesn't. You know, your goals, if they honor your values and you lean to your gifts to tap to that renewable energy and you find those places where they overlap, like you don't need consistent hype or caffeine or external pressure to keep going. You've got all the momentum you're going to need to just press forward. So instead of asking like, how do I push harder? Start like, well, how can I line up all these things with who I actually am? That's when the gears start catching and momentum really takes over for you. Now, here's what I want you to walk away with from today. Like burnout, there's nothing wrong with being, when people get to burnout, like there's not like a laziness. There's not that you're not committed. Most of the time, it just means that you're chasing the wrong goals in the wrong way. You're confusing exhaustion with dedication. So everything we talked about today, they're not just hacks to get more done. Like they're a whole new way of looking at achievement. One that flips the script on draining and burnout driven success to like, how do I get energized and aligned with my superpowers? How do I create momentum around that? And when it becomes like a sustainable system, like it will always outperform the burnout because like it's renewable, it's creative, it's real. When you start working with your natural design instead of fighting against it, progress doesn't feel heavy. Like it starts to feel lighter and fuel you to do more. That's what, the GIVER method is all about these things. Your gifts, your values, your design. Like you're not meant to be shoved into somebody else's definition of success. They're meant to be expressed in ways that fuel you instead of drain you. And when you anchor your biggest goals to who you actually are, you build rhythms that mix ambition and restoration. You finally realize you don't have to sacrifice the people and the moments that matter most so you can go make it and be successful. And if that hits home for you today, then like I said, that's where you'll go grab a copy of the GIVER method. It's on Amazon. The link's in the description. You can get it on Amazon if you look up the GIVER method by Jake Talbert. Right now for as little as $2 you can get it for. Go get yourself a copy. It's tons of practical tools to help you chase big goals and like lose yourself in that process. So you don't lose yourself in that process. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Jake, hey, I've been in this achievement addiction way too long. I'd love some guidance to redesign this whole thing. Then check out, we've got those one-on-one coaching spots that we've opened. We'll roll up our sleeves. We'll apply this sort of framework to a life that actually fits you and starts feeling like, so you start feeling that difference right away. So check out the coaching link below. If you have a team, a community, a podcast, an event, where this message would resonate and hit home for them, then let's talk, because I love bringing it to audiences who are tired of that hustle burnout and ready to rediscover sustainable, value-driven success, what that could really look like for them. And before you go, hit subscribe. Of course, tap that bell so you don't miss out on the next video. Like the video, and then comment below, like, which one of these strategies do you want to start with? I read these comments. I love to hear what where you're at in your journey and how I can help progress you forward. Now, what I want you to remember is like your biggest goals don't require sacrificing your health or relationships or your authentic self. The real success happens when your ambition and your design stop fighting each other and start working together. Don't confuse exhaustion with being dedicated or responsible. Discover what becomes possible when your goals fuel you instead of draining you. And trust me, you are so much closer to that than you think, and you are the only person that can make that impact that you're born to make. You have the only person with the combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences that you have. And the world is waiting for you to realize that and step into that so you can make the impact that is truly only yours. So with that, I'll just say have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you can catch us in our next video. Check out the other videos on the channel, and we'll see you real soon.